Hey, it's Warrior Grayfun, and today I'm going to be reintroducing the cats of the Gorge. I started off this channel just posting speed paints about them, but I never really talked about them, so I don't blame people for not watching videos about the Gorge colony, because that gets kind of boring. So we're going to start off with Star Marigold. Now, Star Marigold, she is kind of older, but not so old that her parents aren't still in the clan. And I think the most interesting thing about her is that she's taken an abandoned kit under her wing, so she's always looking after that kit and making sure it's alright. Despite this kit not being from around, that kit was abandoned, and she just decided to take them in. Now, when I was starting this world, the idea that the only clan was going to be them, and Star Marigold came from the original clans in the forest, but as the world developed a little bit more, that just wasn't sticking anymore. And I kind of wanted to do something different. So we're doing something different now. But before she took in this kit, she was I don't need a mate or kids. And then she realized that this kit had nobody else and decided to take her in. Now, Star Marigold's deputy is Fox Thorn. He comes from one of my older Warrior Cats OC's designs from like 2012. He's so red he looks like a fox. So, Fox Thorn. He's also a very small boy, but he thinks of the clan as like his children and things like that and likes to look out for them. He also kind of has a soft spot for the medicine cat Mistleaf, but nothing's really happened between them yet. He likes to take the time to see if Mistleaf needs anything for the medicine cat den, and if she said she needs some more moss bedding, he'll send people to go get it for her. He's very whipped in that way. And now we come to our medicine cat Mistleaf. She is related to one of the apprentices, Sparrowfeather, and it's just her and Sparrowfeather in the clan now. They're cousins, I think, to some extent, but they're not siblings from a different litter, if that makes sense. Both of their parents have long gone over the years. So she likes to watch over Sparrowfeather every once in a while, but other than that, she's very dedicated to being a medicine cat, and I don't really see her being about relationships as much as Foxthorn is. Maybe she just thinks he's a good friend. Our next cat is Sparrow's Song, who is related to Acorn Fluff. And the queen Mothstep, they're not super close, just because Mothstep has her kids to look after, and Acorn Fluff, his brother, is interested in somebody else, so he's just all by his lonesome. He is, however, interested in 2 she-cats from another clan, but before the events of the story, one of them passed away, so now he's just super close to the sister, which was one of the 2, if that makes sense. He's very conflicted about leaving his colony to be with this other she-cat from another colony, and in general, I just have a soft spot for Sparrow's Song, because he used to be my edgy Warrior Cats OC in 2010. My very first one, and I used to call him Tronos. But of course, now he is Sparrow Song, and I love him even more now. Our final cat in this lineup is Honey Whisker. I don't really have much to say about her. She was kind of recently added in there at some point, like one of the most recent cats. So she doesn't have much of a backstory, and I feel like she could go basically with anybody in this colony. And there's a lot of males and females to choose from that are also single like her. Now, our next group of cats all kind of go together, but there's also another cat that goes with them. Starting with Owl Willow and Ravenflight, these two she-cats are mates. And they used to be rogues, but their mate, who was a Tom, was a bit abusive, so they decided to join the colonies with their kits. And they have their kits Gingerfluff, Dopond, Ebony Stripe, and Rowan Spots. Now, Gingerfluff, Dopond, and Ebony Stripe are just your typical warriors. They just go on patrols, they love hunting and things like that. And I will later get into Rowan Spots and his duty and why he's not lined up with them. But I did mess with a generator for them, but I don't know if I'll be able to find it again. Which is basically like a family generator, so you have the mama cat and the dad cat, and then all their kits together, and it generate a random number. But I've taken designs that was generated and put my own spin to it. I like to compare Gingerfluff to Squirrelflight. She's very Squirrelflight looking, in my opinion. And as for Dopond and Ebony Stripe, I didn't change too much. I imagine Dopond is a sweet little boy, while Ebony Stripe, he's kind of rambunctious and loves to play fight with his siblings. As for Owl Willow and Ravenflight, I think they love their children very much, but they're not looking to have a surrogate mother and have more kids anytime soon. Or a surrogate father, anyway. And hopefully the Tom does not come back. Okay, now our next cat is a Lilytail. Again, I think she came from a generator, but I probably could not link it for the life of me. I don't remember which one I used, but I did base a lot of my thinking around her design, like kind of like Leopard Star in some aspects, but I feel like her personality is a little bit more bubbly, and maybe that'd be comparable to like Cloudtail in the Prophecies Begin books. She also does not have any family members or mates yet, so I feel like she could go with anybody as well, which is nice for like future writing and things. You don't want all of your characters to be related. I'm just not personally a fan of that. That's kind of how Warriors is now. Everybody's kind of a little bit related to each other somehow. From there we have Minnow Spring and Nettletuft. These two are mates, and they have apprentices that were their kits, but it wasn't too long ago that Minnow Spring moved out of the Queen's area. So their kids are Maple Breeze, Storm Breeze, Crow's Sight, and Blossom Patch. So quite a bit of the apprentices are their children. For Minnow Spring's design, I feel like I based a lot of it on my real life cat in some aspects, because my real life cat does have like little flecks of orange and white in her fur where it's black, but my real life cat has more of a black tail compared to her. And Nettletuft, I just wanted a black cat, so I decided to add a little bit of gray to him for some variety, but that's basically about it when it comes to these two and their designs. They're still very much in love. I could easily picture them having more kids, but after having 4, that's a lot. I feel like they're gonna take a break for a little while. We now have Acorn Fluff. He is Sparrow Song's brother, and he is interested in Rowan spots. So because Mothstep recently had her kids, he's been spending a little bit of time in the nursery. They were kind of more close than they were to Sparrow Song, unfortunately, and so during his many visits, he became interested in Rowan spots, and thankfully it's reciprocated. They are both Toms, and Acorn Fluff used to be another one of my edgy Warrior Cats OCs, but he's been redesigned quite heavily. I don't think he had a male mate when, in 2012. I kind of feel like their story was kind of similar. Like Acorn Fluff was Hawk Frost, and Sparrow Song was Brambleclaw in that sense. That's kind of what I feel like their story used to be like. Our final cat in this lineup is Leaf Breeze. As for Leaf Breeze, I wanted another cat that was brown, and I wanted to use different shades of brown for her. I feel like she is a warrior that loves getting into fights a bit too much. And in general, I thought it would be cute if she kind of had like the fold over ears. Once again, she is a cat that's not related to anybody else, so she could be with anybody in the future. We'll just have to wait and see for her. Our next group of cats, starting with Frogclaw. Frogclaw is mates with Brightpool. They have 4 kits together: Prickleaf, Hornetfoot, Tansy Storm, and Lionbriar. Frogclaw is a very grumpy cat. That's the best way I could describe him. Him and his mate are just very grumpy cats. They're very strict about the rules and how to follow them. But of course he has a soft spot for his mate and kids. Then we have Sparrow Feather, who I mentioned was cousins with the medicine cat Mistleaf. She's also the apprentice to Lilytail. Sorry, looking at my notes. She's also a very strict rule follower, very no nonsense, but of course, one of the other apprentices, Stormbreeze, always bothers her, and she kind of has a soft spot for him, but doesn't want to admit it. Her mother and father died a while ago, before the events of this story that's taking place. We then move on to Maple Breeze. Her mentor is Sparrow Song. Her parents are Minnow Spring and Nettle Patch. So that means her litter mates are Storm Breeze, Blossom Patch, and Crowsight. Storm Breeze, his mentor, is Frogclaw. So there's kind of a duality there where Storm Breeze just wants to have fun, but Frogclaw is very no nonsense. Crowsight, he tends to be more of a rule follower, like Sparrow Feather and Frogclaw and Brightpool, but he has a habit of collecting butterflies and things like that for his nest. That's just one of his favorite hobbies. And Crowsight is apprenticed to Aloe. So Aloe, I feel like she wants to have fun, but her apprentice just wants to stick to the rules. Finally, we have Blossom Patch. She is apprenticed to the Deputy Foxthorn. Again, all these cats are siblings except Sparrowfeather. I feel like Blossom Patch is a little bit just going along with the breeze. She's not too prickly, she's not too excitable and having fun, basically. But that is all of our apprentices right now. We then move on to the nursery, starting with Rowan Spots. Rowan Spots a Tom, but he takes up the role of a nursery aide. In particular, he watches after Night Dust, who was adopted by Star Marigold. But a lot of his duties revolve around helping out the queens, making sure that they're fed, that their nests are adequate. He also takes over watching their kits, so that way the queens can have a little bit of a break every once in a while, because I'm sure it gets tiring watching after so many kits. Now, Night Dust, she is our abandoned kit. There's not really much to say about her, or we're gonna spoil some story details. But nobody knows who her parents are, and she's very close to Star Marigold, who took her in. And she's also close to Rowan Spots, because he watches after her quite often. But she's not that very close to Brightpool. Brightpool's kind of prickly, and I imagine she thinks this cat's strange and doesn't want her near her other kits. Like I said, Brightpool, next, she's very prickly. Her mate's Frogclaw. Her kits are Prickleaf, Hornetfoot, Tansy Storm, and Lionbriar. My designs for Brightpool and Frogclaw came from when I was playing Warriors Untold Tales back in 2018, I think. And that's where they originally came from, but of course they're different now. Prickleaf, she's very easygoing. Hornetfoot's a very nervous cat. Tansy Storm is also kind of easygoing, but Lionbriar, he's a little bit of a troublemaker, so he kind of gets the others into trouble more often than not. Our last group in the nursery is Mothstep with her kits Rosewind and Apple Patch. Nobody's sure who the father of these kits are, and she doesn't really mention it. It's just one of her secrets, and the father is actually a cat from another clan. And when Night Dust first came to the Gorge, she watched after her because she was still nursing and could take care of her. Meanwhile, Brightpool didn't want anything to do with her. I imagine her kits are a little bit younger than Night Dust, though. So, and again, Mothstep is related to Acorn Fluff. She's more close to Acorn Fluff than she is their other brother, Sparrow Song. They used to get into trouble a lot, so they just stayed close. And of course, because Acorn Fluff's been visiting the nursery, he comes across Rowan Spots, and those two become close. And finally, we can move on to the Elder's Den. Sunfur and Kestrelflight are the parents of Star Marigold. They're only elders right now. Sunfur, he's kind of hard of hearing, and he can't see as well as he used to. But Kestrelflight, she can see just fine, and she can hear just fine. I imagine she's a bit younger than Sunfur, but she's just close to him still. And Sunfur, he kind of has a habit of sleeping in weird sunny places. Like, wherever it's sunny, you can find him sleeping there, and that's why he has so much, like, debris in his fur. I'm also sure Sunfur retired before Kestra Flight did, because she wanted to work a little bit longer and just did not want to retire yet, and then she finally did retire at some point. That is all of our cats in the Gorge colony. I know that usually this is the week that I do clan gen stuff, but I figured I'd reintroduce them because it was sorely needed, and next time I'll be introducing our new clan gen project. Not this next week, that's Warrior's Life again, but on the 3rd of November should be our new clan gen project. And once I finish with the Fog Colony, I'd like to do a real quick speed paint of them all rounded up together, and then I still need to develop characters for our last colony, and then we can do a roundup of them too. We'll just have to see how things fall into place. But thank you so much for listening to me ramble about cats and my OCs, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!